Hello, my beautiful breastfeeding mamas. Welcome to the Simple Mommy Life channel. It's your girl Kayla, and today we are going to talk about breast milk preservation and how to store your breast milk safely and properly. And if you are new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and the notification bell so you may be notified of my future videos. I do videos on everything and anything related to motherhood. So if you like videos on childcare, on cloth diapers, on like baby product reviews, etc., I am definitely that person for you. So before we begin, I just wanted to take a minute and talk about what breast milk is exactly. So yes, breast milk is a milk that is produced by the mammary gland of the human female. But what is it really made up of? What is the composition of breast milk? So breast milk is made up of about 90% water. Just like the human body, we are mainly composed of water, and the other remaining 10% can be broken down into proteins, mineral vitamins, fats, acids, and carbohydrates. It is literally like a live substance, live stem cells and enzymes that go on to live into your baby's body, which is why breast milk is so nutritious for your baby and so important for their lung and brain and bone tissue development, you name it. So the question that I get asked most frequently is how long I can safely store my breast milk, and that will depend on the temperature that you're storing your breast milk at. So if you are storing your breast milk at room temperature, which is about 21 degrees Celsius, it is good for about 3 to 4 hours. And if you are storing your breast milk in the refrigerator, which is around 4 degrees Celsius, then I would say that the breast milk is good for about 3 to 4 days. People do have larger estimates when storing breast milk in the refrigerator. Some people say that the breast milk will be good for about 6 days, but I like to be more on the conservative side, just to not run the chance of giving my baby breast milk that has gone bad. So I would say no more than 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator. And lastly, if you are freezing your breast milk, which is the temperature would be 0 degrees Celsius or below, then the breast milk is good for about 6 months. There are people that say that the breast milk will be good for about up to 12 months, but like I mentioned before, I like to be more on the conservative side of things, so I would say no more than 6 months in the freezer. So you remain on the safer side of the breast milk storage limits. A good rule of thumb is to ask yourself after pumping the milk or extracting the milk, when am I going to be using this breast milk next? And that should give you a good idea of where you should be storing your breast milk. So at room temperature, in the refrigerator, in the freezer, and it will also give you an idea of how much milk to store at once. So if you just finished pumping your breast milk and you know that you're going to be using it for the next feeding, so within the next 2 or 3 hours, you can go ahead and keep it outside of the fridge. Or if your answer is, I'll be using this breast milk in 3 days when we go on the picnic, then go ahead and store it in your refrigerator. For instance, if your answer is I don't know when I'll be using this breast milk next, then I would say go ahead and put it in the freezer immediately, so you don't run the chance of compromising the quality of your breast milk. For instance, if you decide that you want to keep the breast milk out of the fridge for 2 or 3 hours, and then finally change your mind and decide to put it in the fridge for 2 or 3 days and it's not used, and then you want to freeze it. The longer you wait to store your breast milk, the more chances you run of compromising its quality. All right, so now that we have a good idea of how long you should be storing your breast milk, let's talk about where you should be storing your breast milk. So if you decide to keep your breast milk outside of the fridge at room temperature, it's a really good idea to take this into consideration. And to store the breast milk in the coldest part of the house or the room, because room temperature does change depending on the weather, depending on where you live, and certain rooms of the house have different room temperatures. So just so you remain on the safer side, go ahead and store your breast milk outside of the fridge, but in the coldest part of the room. Now, if the breast milk is going to be stored in the refrigerator, the best place to store the breast milk is in the back of the refrigerator, like where the motor is, the coldest part of the refrigerator, just like the room temperature thing. So if you have, for instance, a compartment for bottles in the front of the fridge, or you want to put the breast milk in the door of the fridge, I would definitely not recommend that. It's always best to be on the safer side, like I mentioned before, and keep the breast milk in the coldest part of the refrigerator. And same thing applies to storing the breast milk in the freezer. If you have a deep freezer, that is always a better option. And if you don't have a deep freezer, so if you're storing the breast milk in the freezer part of your fridge, just make sure it's in part of the freezer that is not going to be exposed to temperature changes. So when you open the door of the freezer, and that it is in the back of the freezer located closer to the motor. All right, and the last thing that I want to share with you guys is the different ways of storing your breast milk. So there are three most common storage methods. The first method is using the breast milk freezer bags. These bags can be purchased at any store. They are BPA free. They already come sterilized in the package, and they are super easy to use. They're disposable, and the really good thing about them is you can usually insert the date that you extracted the milk, the time, and the amount, and they're super friendly when thawing the milk. The second method, if you don't like the disposable bags, is to store the breast milk in glass containers. Now, this could be a little bit more complicated because the glass containers have to be freezer approved if you are freezing your breast milk, and they can also take up more space in your fridge and freezer, and they are a little bit more expensive. And finally, the last method of storing breast milk is through the little bottles that come with your pump. If you purchase an electric pump kit or set, usually they'll come with bottles that are freezer friendly, and you can store your breast milk in that. Again, they do take up more space, and you always have to purchase more and more and more depending on the amount of breast milk that you are storing. So if you want to make yourself a little stash, you're going to have to keep purchasing more bottles, just like the glass bottles, to store the breast milk. And now for some little tips on storing breast milk. The number one tip that I'm going to have to share with you guys is to date your breast milk. Don't put the date that you put the breast milk in the freezer in case the breast milk was in the fridge for two days prior. Date the breast milk the time and day that it was pumped. And that will make it a lot easier when rotating your milk, and just to assure that you are not feeding your child milk that is gone bad. Another big tip that I have to share with you guys is when putting the breast milk in the containers, whether it be the disposable bags, the glass containers, whatever method you decide to choose, is to not fill the container to the top because breast milk does expand when being frozen. And the last little tip is just to make a spot for your breast milk. So if you want to make a stash in the freezer, get a box of some sort, or anything that can really contain the breast milk in one spot, where you can also just remove the package when needed. Just make your life easier. Right, my breastfeeding mamas. So that is all that I have to share with you guys today on breast milk storage and preservation. I really hope that I provided you with the information that you were looking for. So if you like this content, please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys all next time. So my breastfeeding mama, have a good pumping session, and don't forget to date your milk, and I will see you around.